This is Jason Verney's podcast. I am Jason Verney. Well, what a amazing few days it's been. I'm in South Korea right now. I'm actually on Jeju Island. And I wanted to talk about what's been going on while I've been here. And in particular, I wanted to talk about arriving here. This is my 6th trip to South Korea. And I actually recorded a podcast, or thought I recorded a podcast, on my first few hours of being on Jeju Island in Jeju City, actually. But I'm not sure. Something went wrong. Could have been some memory capacity on my devices, or something that caused it. I am not too sure. Anyway, and so essentially, I wanted to record a podcast about about actually landing in Seoul for the 6th time, and it's an experience that happened on the same day as landing. And I will move on to Jeju. I'll probably record a separate episode for some of that. So basically, I was on an 11-hour flight from UK to Seoul, Incheon Airport, Incheon International Airport in Seoul, on the outskirts of Seoul. 11 hours. I probably got 1 hour's sleep, maybe 2 max. I don't think so though. But it was kind of I find it difficult, like some people, to sleep on planes, either because of the sound, or which you can cut out, of course, or just stuff on your mind, or just fluctuating between times of meals coming around, and also maybe the odd film. And also, I was preparing some footage for a talk I'm giving here in Jeju on Friday evening. I believe that's correct in the schedule, which I needed to find footage, all the footage I had, and move it around, and I've started doing that. But basically, all the footage I have regarding my trips to Jeju, this is now my 3rd one, but this is going to focus on the first 2, my experiences, whether they're going sightseeing, whether they're meeting people, or it's all kind of combined, but also whether it's about the people in Gangjong area, which have the daily protests regarding the Navy base, which is being built, or unfortunately has been built there, or Seogwipo, that area, which is pretty much just along the road from there. I was doing that on a plane. So by the time I landed in Seoul, still not much work done and not much sleep completed. I arrived in Seoul Incheon International Airport, and by the time I should mention, the British Airways, the flight was delayed by an hour and a half, and they didn't make up the time. So I think we landed in Seoul Saturday morning, Saturday the 17th, at about 9 a.m. instead of 7:30 a.m. And so then it was to the usual stuff, getting your baggage or luggage. I actually wasn't going to take any luggage for the hold. I was just going to take my film sort of equipment bag and my other rucksack, which would have been perfectly. It would have fitted in the cabin. It would have been fine. But then there's the equipment. I have my tripod. I have another rig that I use to film with, and also it allowed me to pack some other things that I didn't have to scrimp and save on space. I could just literally put it in a bag. There was plenty of room to spare, just in case I get something else as well. I'm not really one for souvenirs, but I might be bringing something back, and just allowing for accumulation or just general disorganizedness if I have to rush from place to place. So anyway, at the airport, it was there. I had to get a SIM. It was quite an experience getting a SIM. I've been coming to Korea for about 5 years, South Korea, and before you had to either rent a mobile phone itself, or a smartphone, or not, iPhone, which would be quite pricey, or you could get a Wi-Fi sort of egg, which is is basically internet wherever you go. It's in your pocket. And there might have been SIMs available, but they weren't easily available. You had to sign up for a contract. But I noticed this time it's much easier for a a foreigner to get a SIM. You get one in the convenience store, which is within the airport, the same place where you get your T-Money card if you haven't already got one. I have a T-Money card, but I didn't have time to find it at home before. I mean, basically, I was in Bangkok for a month, then I had 2 weeks back in UK, then I was back here again. So, yeah, for various reasons, I've got a project that I'm editing for. I'm editing an art piece for Kingston Museum, which is an exhibition that runs from basically pretty much all of July, August, September, and so I've been doing that. So I was doing that in Bangkok as well as UK, and no time for anything else really. So so back to the SIM card. So I bought that, and I bought the T-Money card, which if you don't know what that is in South Korea, T-Money card allows you to, you top it up a bit like an Oyster card in the UK, but you can also use it to purchase stuff at 7-Eleven and places like that. I believe I haven't used it myself, but you can use it pretty much anything. So then once you'd bought the SIM card, then you had to go and see a girl who would basically tell you how to put it in, or she would actually do it for you, to be fair. And then while I was there was a little queue building up, and there was a guy who, funnily enough, we got talking. He's Korean, but he lives in London. He's been there for years, and he owned a restaurant that I knew about. I won't go into that. It's too long a story to explain. So we had a lot of things in common. It's not the first time either. I've been to or from Korea, and I've met people on the flight that I already know as well, or just get off the plane and I realise that they were on there and what have you. So yeah, we had a chat, and while the SIM card was being activated and set up, and then it was time to top up my T-Money card and get on the train. I chose the longer train, which is the all-stop one, just because it's a little bit cheaper. A bit like the London options. You can either, from Heathrow, for example, you can just use your Oyster and use the underground and get to Green Park or wherever else afterwards, or you can get the express ones, same as you can from Gatwick and what have you. But I choose the longer one. So by the time I got to the hotel, it was probably about 12 or 1. I'm not too sure the time now that it was. But one thing I will say, it was quite, I don't know if using the word emotional is right, but once I came out of Haewa metro station, I'd been in a plane for so many hours. I'd been in an airport before that, an airport after that, and then on the metro. I hadn't seen any proper daylight, apart from getting off the plane, I suppose, for hours. And I just it was coming out, and it was bright sunshine. This is actually my first ever time in Korea in the summer, in the proper summer, I suppose. I think it gets hotter than this, but it's this is June. So it's a new experience for me anyway. But walking up the street, one of the streets in Haewa, near exit 4, to a guest house that I've stayed in before several years ago, it brought back memories not only of that guest house but also of the area and my little wanderings, I suppose, and also just the street itself and seeing life. South Korean city streets are pretty full of life, whether it's music booming from a shop, whether it's someone selling something with a microphone on and some sort of shouting about what they've got to sell, or whether it's just sort of arcade-ish stuff going on, maybe a boxing machine, punch bags and all that. It's quite a lot. So I posted a little snippet or video on Instagram with a little bit of that. It wasn't that. I think it was actually when I ventured out then later that day. So then it took me to that particular experience landing took me to the hotel. But then I was contacted by somebody to go and speak at the Comfort Women protest or demonstration outside the Japanese embassy. It's a Saturday protest, and it's not the Wednesday one, which has been happening for years. The Wednesday one is actually the longest ever running protest or demonstration about anything in the world, apparently. But this Saturday one is a different thing, and I will explain more in a different podcast, just because I'm conscious of these the problem I had last time with the podcast. I don't think it's a problem this time, but I will mention what I did for the rest, for the rest of that day on the Saturday afternoon, evening, and then lead into other stuff. So yeah, I will speak to you in the next podcast if you are listening. Okay, I'll leave it with that. Thanks a lot. Adios.